Over the past several months, Disney has done everything in their power to try to combat the negativity out there surrounding The Little Mermaid. From the very first trailer that we saw, the fans were not happy. They didn't like anything about it. They didn't like that it was another soulless Disney live-action remake. They didn't like that the colors were so muted and underwhelming compared to the original. And of course, they didn't like so many of the changes that this movie was making to the 1989 animated version. Of course, starting with race-swapped Ariel, but of course, different story beats, different relationship, different song lyrics, because we need to make it okay for modern-day feminists. And now, with it set to release today at the box office, people are starting to look at these numbers and realizing that Disney might have a massive problem on their hands. Because although it's tracking decently domestically, internationally, there is a huge problem. The Little Mermaid expected to be Disney's biggest fail this year. Now, I have to push back a little bit on this headline. I get where they're coming from, but I have to push back a little bit because Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, that definitely was the biggest fail. I don't think that Little Mermaid's going to be that bad in terms of money lost or anything like that. But there is definitely reason to worry about The Little Mermaid because there is an international box office problem right now. And even worse, we found out something else within the last few days. Despite the fact that for the last several months, everybody's been saying the same thing, $200 million budget, $200 million budget. It looks like that was a big underestimate because now what the trades are coming out with, what we have found out is that it's a $250 million budget for The Little Mermaid, and that does make things that much harder for Disney to try to recoup that money, especially when you consider $250 million budget, and the marketing budget for this movie undoubtedly is out of this world. It's probably very similar to what we've seen from the most recent Marvel movies, around $150 million, especially when they're going to the Oscars, doing that special thing, a $10 million ad right there. It's got to be insane. We won't know those official numbers for months, but that's really the estimates out there. So you're talking about a $400 million investment. You're talking about a movie that might have to make $750 to even $800 million just to break even. With this reveal, that's the new reality surrounding The Little Mermaid. So it does need to make a good chunk of money here in the United States and around the rest of the world. And right now, people are questioning if it's got what it takes. Box office, The Little Mermaid swimming to $120 million plus over Memorial Day weekend. And when we do see these box office numbers all this weekend, you're going to hear a couple different things. The traditional weekend, the 3-day weekend, including Thursday previews. So you're talking Friday through Sunday. The Memorial Day weekend is going to include Memorial Day Monday. That is important. That's an important distinction. That's an extra day. That's a holiday. So those will be very different numbers to look at. However, the more important one that people are looking at is the global total, because despite estimated right now to have a $100 million plus domestic opening, internationally, this thing is dead in the water. Little Mermaid to be part of that world with a $180 million global start to this weekend. That is the news that Disney's likely been fearing for quite some time. With all these different changes they made, was the international audience still going to be on board? We know in China it's a disaster. We know in China it's likely to be the worst Disney release ever that actually gets a release in China. There's almost no interest in buying tickets to this thing. And when you look at comparisons, right, when you look at comparisons, you can see that these Disney animated movies have a big domestic to international split in favor of the international numbers. Lion King, massive, over $1 billion internationally. Beauty and the Beast, a big international number compared to domestic, and especially Aladdin. Aladdin made almost twice as much internationally as it did domestically. And that Aladdin number is important. A lot of people are going to be comparing it against it. They both open on Memorial Day weekend, Aladdin in 2019, Little Mermaid today. And even though domestically it is tracking ahead of Aladdin right now, internationally, it can't compete, and that's why you saw that Disney's Aladdin had over $200 million global opening because that international number is so big. And unfortunately, right now, for The Little Mermaid, it looks like that number might end up biting them in the ass. Certainly, everything is going to depend on the second weekend, what the word of mouth is like for this movie, how many repeat viewings, so on and so forth. This is not going to be a movie, and I know a lot of people are pointing out that this is lower, like this global total is way less than even Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which was a massive failure for Disney. this isn't going to be like a superhero movie. You shouldn't expect a 70% drop at the box office second weekend. Now, if there is, that would be a nightmare for them. I don't expect that to be the case with a movie like this. You're expecting it to have longer legs, or fins in this case, I guess. But still, the fact that right now, with a big ballooned up $250 million budget, that this thing is tracking this way, that's not the news that Disney wanted to hear. They have so much riding on this. They have desperately tried to do everything in their power to pretend like this is just going to be incredible and everybody loves this. And if you don't like it, you're just a racist. We'll see if that marketing pays off for them. But right now, with these new numbers out and potentially a $750 to maybe even $800 million break-even point, this might be very bad for Disney. And to be fair, we should point it out, there are some people who are predicting a little bit more than that. There's some people that saying they think the high side could be 135 to 140 for the whole Memorial Day weekend, maybe like 115, 120 just for the 3-day. That would definitely be better news for them, but still wouldn't fix anything internationally. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments section below. Smash a like button, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.